All right, so we're going to talk about subject to. And what that means is it's a deal where it's subject to the existing financing. And simply what that means is Clinton, North Carolina. Where is Clinton? That must be out east. I like that. I like that music. I like that. What's up, y'all? So it's Maxwell here. Thank you guys for joining me. Make sure you share this stream right now. Share it with your brother, your cousin, your auntie, your sister, whoever, on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. It don't matter. Share it because I'm about to drop some gems. I'm about to show you guys exactly how we did a sub-2 deal, took it down, and flipped it, right? So I'm going to show you everything from the contract to the HUD to the pictures before, the pictures after. I'm going to show you the entire thing, right? So let's share the stream so everybody gets it and gets on live. All right, so we're going to talk about subject to. And what that means is it's a deal where it's subject to the existing financing. And simply what that means is Clinton, North Carolina. Where is Clinton? That must be out east. I don't know where that is, Facebook user. I ain't even gonna try to say it. But a sub-2 deal is where you buy a house existing, subject to the existing financing. Essentially, that the financing, the mortgage is gonna stay in place, and that you are going to buy it, and you're gonna be responsible for the mortgage, and you may the seller may or may not walk away with some money, just depending on how you negotiate the deal. But this deal was entered into Deal Machine, and I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but it was entered into Deal Machine, and we talked to the seller. The seller called in with the number, and our team negotiated. So let me tell you how it went down. So the person that owned this property had inherited this property from their father, I believe, and they wanted to move out to eastern North Carolina towards the beach. The house was outdated completely. And the house had a mortgage on it. That's why it's a subject to. So what happened was the seller was looking to walk away with $12,000. So we ended up negotiating the deal to where we would take over the mortgage, and the mortgage had 2 loans on it, totaling around, I believe, $70,000. We'll get exactly to the numbers here in a second. But what I want to show you first, before we get to the numbers, is what the actual property looked like. So if I can get the studio to pull up my iPad, I will show them exactly what the property looked like. So this was the property, 135 Robbins. And as you can see, there was the garage with the tanning bed. I didn't keep the tanning bed. There goes the garage. Obviously you see, there goes the bedroom. Good thing about this house, it had fairly decent windows, which means they're vinyl windows, and it had original hardwood floors through most of the house except for the kitchen. So you can see we ripped up the carpet. There was hardwood floors. There was it already had central air, but it was broken. You can see this is so this is a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath house. Okay. There was the bathroom. Obviously, one sink, disgusting. The mirror was gone. This is a bedroom. Carpet over the hardwood floors. As you can see, that it had hardwoods underneath the carpet. That was the front living room there. This was the kitchen with that beautiful green carpet, or not. See that beautiful green carpet there? Had wood paneling, popcorn ceilings, some odd. That window actually looked out into the garage. The garage used to be a carport, and they converted it. Look at this beautiful kitchen. Not really. As you can see, house is completely outdated. It came with 4 pretzels, as you can see down there in the bottom left. There's the pretzels it came with. Those are good, actually. So those were the pictures before. All right, so what happened was the seller was looking for $12,000, and they were actually, so what happens is they started talking to big numbers. They started saying, hey, we want 75, 85,000. And once we got to the point where we were talking about, hey, listen, how much is owed on the property. They told us what was owed. They were only behind maybe a month or two, not much. And the mortgage on this property is around $700 a month. So they're only behind a month or two. And we end up getting some pain points out of them, find out what we really want. They wanted to move to the beach. They were tired of living in this house that they inherited, tired of paying the mortgage, couldn't really afford it. Their finances were starting to go down. They figured they needed somewhere around $12,000. So we said, okay, you want $12,000. Let's not talk about the mortgage anymore. $12,000 boiled down to us negotiating them with the $12,000, which was actually fine. The $12,000 they wanted made a bunch of sense. So what we did with that is we end up putting the house under contract. And I'm going to show you what our contract looks like. And so here we go. I'm going to show you what our contract looks like. So here's I don't know who scanned this in our office with a Nokia cell phone or something. Absolutely terrible. But as you can see, the typical stuff you're going to put inside of a contract. And here's where it gets a little sexy. So the earnest money deposit on this one was $100. That goes straight to the closing attorney. The second $100 is a due diligence fee. This due diligence fee that I'm actually paying for gives me time to do my due diligence on this property. Could be an inspection, could be a just finding out if it's a good deal. And then you see the balance due at closing to the sellers was $11,800. Obviously, because I've already got a credit of $200 with the earnest money deposit and the due diligence. Now, if you go down to line F in this contract, you can see right here, line F, subject to, there was $55,000 approximately on the SunTrust loan, which we verified with the actual loan documents. And you can see there was a second mortgage from a Trueline bank for $20,000. So if you add the $55,000, the $20,000, and the $12,000 they wanted, we had a total purchase price of $87,000, right? But the reality is I didn't have to bring $87,000 to the closing. I only had to bring $12,000 plus closing costs. So let's go to the second page of the contract. Pretty simple here. I got this contract. I believe it's on my website. If not, I'll leave a link below in the description here. But it just talks about some of the stuff that you need to have to protect yourself. And then it said closing is going to happen on or before March 24th, 2020. And here's number 8. This is an important one that I think most people don't understand why this is important. So the $100 bought me all the way to March 12th. Now you're going to see the actual date I signed this contract, but you're going to see it's roughly going to be around 10 days or 2 weeks, right? So this allows me to go out and see if this property is in good enough condition to close on it, and also to see if I get enough interest from my buyers. I now have a contract, but I have $100 that allows me to basically back out of the contract with on or before this date, 5 p.m. by March 12th. If I wanted to back out of the contract, I just write it. My paralegal will write it, and we will back out of the contract. So property condition, obviously the seller has to deliver the property in the same condition that we've seen it. Most of this we're going to leave blank here. So let's go on here. We're not going to do any financing contingencies because we're buying this one. And then we have some additional terms down here. And here's another, I forgot about this part of the deal. So the seller needed to stay in the house after closing because they did not have any money. Now, simply what that means is at closing, they were going to receive $5,000, and the rest of their balance was upon surrendering the keys to Venture Atlas at the date agreed upon. So I think we gave them an extra, I think it's 2 weeks or something like that in the house with the $5,000 so they can move, because that's how much they really needed to move, pack up stuff, get a U-Haul. And then as they deliver the keys to us, the attorney released the other $1,600. Obviously, I'm going to pay all closing costs here, as you can see there. So those are important things. So let's go to the next. So we signed this on March 4th, and our due diligence went to the 12th, so roughly 8 to 10 days, whatever that is. And you can see that this was signed. So what you can see here is, let's go back to the camera. What you can see here is this contract is not complicated. It is going to be, 5 pages, but filling out a sub 2 is easy. Essentially, you're going to keep the existing mortgage in place. They're going to deed us the property. We're going to continue to pay the mortgage every single month. And what I decided to do with this property, instead of selling it to a flipper, I decided to keep it. And I decided to flip it myself. So we had a budget on this property to spend, I believe, around $20,000 or $25,000. Somebody has a question. Does the cash buyer pay the wholesaler before or after the homeowner buys that? I'm not sure of that question. I'm not sure exactly what they mean. And I will do questions right after I discuss this one. So as you can see, we went to closing. Now let me pull up the HUD here for this property so you can see it and see how it's broken down. All right, as you see, we have the HUD here. It's the simple stuff you have. With closing date was March 27th. Let's see here. Contract sale price was $87,000. The settlement charges to me were around $1,265. Gross amount due from buyer, $88,000. Obviously, you see the deposit of the due diligence and the earnest money. But then adjustment items paid unpaid by seller. Existing SunTrust. You can see the 2 mortgages right there. And then you can see the amount needed. So I had to bring $13,065 to closing here. Let's see here. I had to bring $13,065 to closing. The seller on the day of closing walked away with the $5,000 we promised. Plus they were going to get another settlement charges of the $68,000 later once they brought the keys in. So as you can see, and then you have, let's see here. This just goes over some more of the fees on the HUDs. You guys have seen a fee before, but this is what the attorney charged me to close it. This is the transfer tax I had to pay. This is the recording charges here. Sorry, and then the e-recording, which they done it total. So total, I had to bring around $13,000 to closing. How do you switch over the debt without involving the bank? I don't switch over the debt. I don't assume the mortgage. I just continue to pay it. The actual mortgage stays in the homeowner's name, which in this case was the deceased father, that they inherited the property and the mortgage continued to get paid. So there is no, I'm assuming the mortgage. I bought the house and then the house belongs to me, but the mortgage stays where it is and I continue to make the payments. So I hope that clarifies that.